So I just saw Will Ospreay versus Ricochet, and I was not a fan. A lot of people like it, and I just don't. I thought there was lots of no selling. I thought that the spot calling was distracting, and I thought that overall it was just unexciting. The drama of like holy crap flips, while awesome, kind of loses its appeal when you watch lots of wrestling. People sort of deride that as being like, oh, you're just a fucking smart. To which I would say, I mean, I guess, but the thing is, I watch a lot of wrestling. I put a lot of time into this hobby. I put a lot of money into this hobby. I mean, look at my shirt. I feel like I can talk about this with some level of dedication. So I'm documenting my wrestling DVD collection as a sort of like confession of my sins, because as we all know, one cannot truly criticize New Japan Pro Wrestling if they're a fan of WWE in any capacity, especially over multiple years. So I am just showing my amount of like not being able to criticize it right here, especially since I like garbage content like hardcore wrestling and Juggalo Championship Wrestling. Most egregiously of all, we got the Austin 316 shirt, even though it's no longer the 90s. Woo! Man titties! What didn't I like about this match? I didn't like the spot calling, most audible of which was drop kick! And that really drug me out of the match. And that's not to say that loud spot calling is necessarily a match killer, because, I can still like John Cena matches, and I honestly like John Cena. And internet, hate beams are going to happen because I said that. There was lots of no-selling in this match, the most blatant of which occurred on the apron, where both men were standing, holding the ropes, clobbering the shit out of each other. And this has basically been ingrained in my mind as a wrestling fan, more so over this past month because of the exchanges between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, that, underneath this section of the apron of the ring is steel beams. And this is the hardest part of the ring. This isn't wood, this is steel. So if you land on this, it will fuck your day up, son. And so Ricochet or Will Ospreay, I can't remember. They're not that interesting. They get fucking slammed on this steel, and then they immediately just one of them falls out of the ring, and then there's like a 619 type maneuver, hits him, and then falls over, does another sequence, and hits the ground. And this all happens within 5 seconds. It's incredibly holy crap, that happened. That was amazing. But it's when you think about it logically, you just hit the steel. That is the hardest part of the ring. That should be knocking you on your ass. You should be out. You should be down for the count, man. And as someone who watches lots of wrestling, I realized that. I was like, wait a second. Something is dissonant here. Huh. This is poor storytelling. That's one of the things that I disagree with people about, is they say that there's no story to this match. And I think that's a lie, because there's pretty clearly a story. These two guys are so evenly matched that they can predict what the other's going to do. And this results in lots of sequences where they're flipping and countering exactly into what the other guy's going to do. This, however, is weighed down by the fact that there is the loud spot calling, unfortunately. And on a surface level, it's very entertaining. Honestly, your mileage may vary. This is all just my opinion as someone who watches a decent amount of wrestling. I'm not a hardcore wrestling fan. I am, I guess, a smart because I buy lots of wrestling DVDs, and I've been watching since I was a kid. Bear in mind, I'm only 20, so I've been watching for 10 years. I'm not 30 and looking back all jaded. I'm not looking from the 60s era of wrestling like people are saying. I should be the ideal demographic for this, and I'm just not a fan. After this whole exchange, Ricochet decided to write a post about why wrestling is an art form and it's not an exhibition. And that's true. Wrestling is an art form. But the thing is that if wrestling's an art form, that should mean it should be criticized more, not less. Look, art is subjective, okay? But the thing is, the subjectivity of art does not mitigate people discussing art or having, arguments about art. It happens all the time. Just people hanging out and, fighting about, oh, this is better than that. That movie's shit. Oh, that game sucks. Oh, that composer is bad. A wrestling being categorized as art does not mean that it's suddenly just going to be oh man, it's all relative. Just fucking like live and let be. No, it's gonna be like people are going to be arguing about what has more merit more than ever. Like, okay, so let's have a little fun about this metaphor you said about art. So like Bach and John Cage are both composers, right? And they both exist within the same artistic medium, being musical composition. The fact that they both exist within the same musical artistic medium does not mean they are of the same quality and of the same like worth to people who enjoy that sort of thing. Like, they both cater to different demographics, different markets, and they're both historically different. Like, yes, they like certain people might like Bach or certain people might like John Cage, but the thing is like the fact that they're both art or the fact that they're both music does not mean that necessarily they're the same or that they have equal merit. Like, you can argue that one is more important than the other even though they're both art. So let's extrapolate this into the modern context. The modern context, rather. I think the John Cage of modern professional wrestling would be Joey Ryan. And his prepared piano, as it were, his 433, the dick spot, and the marrying his wife in the ring shortly after fighting her. And, you know, the Bach would be like Bret Hart, or Vern Gagne, or CM Punk, or Daniel Bryan, or like an actual wrestler. Why? Because they're more significant and they have talent. Just because they're both artists doesn't mean they're the same. Fuck!